2023 Ford Escape ST line, and you are going to love this video if you're considering one of these, if you're cross-shopping one of these, if you're comparing it to its competitors. Well, we're about to learn just everything there is to know about it, and then some. I've got a road test coming up for you, a headlight test coming up for you, but first let's start off by taking a look around in here. Today, 4 years into its production run, there's been a major styling update applied that's perhaps most visible in the front grille and headlamp treatment. With the coast-to-coast light bar, that unique rear bumper garnish down below, tailgate spoiler, and notice that just about every exterior surface here is painted for a more premium look. But especially you'll notice the updates on board. Opening the door to this interior, I wasn't sure whether to look at the quilted leather seats or more than 13-inch wide display screen first. It's a big visual first impression from a cabin that's relaxing and upscale, but also that puts plenty of tech within its driver's reach. There are a few gripes in here too, more on those later. This is the freshly updated Escape ST line variant that covers the bulk of the model range. There are 6 versions of the Escape listed on Ford's website. Half of them wear an ST line badge, with standard, select, and elite trim grades slotting in between the entry Escape Active and up-level Platinum and plug-in hybrid versions. All of the safety gear is here with recent additions including Intersection Assist 2.0, which can stop pedestrian impacts while turning, and blind spot monitoring becomes Blind Spot Assist, now able to nudge your steering back in the correct direction if you accidentally ignore the blind spot warnings and try to make an unsafe lane change anyways. There is a 2-second difference in 0 to 60 between the 3 and 4-cylinder engine options. With the 1.5-liter 3-cylinder, that's about 7.7 seconds, and with the 2-liter 4-cylinder, it's about 5.7 seconds. So other important thing here, right? 2 engine choices, 2 very different performance and power levels, but when you do a little math on the fuel economy between both of those engine options, one of them is basically a no-brainer if you're considering it, and I've got that math coming up for you soon. How big is a Ford Escape? Somewhere between a Nissan Rogue and a Chevy Equinox. The Tiguan, Sportage, CR-V, and Rogue are a few inches longer, and the CX-5 is a little shorter. The 2023 Ford Escape is almost exactly as long as a Toyota RAV4, and according to my research, competitor models with the closest overall physical dimensions are the Hyundai Tucson and Honda CR-V. So to summarize for test-driving shoppers, the Ford Escape is about the size of a Honda CR-V or Hyundai Tucson, with models like the Forester, CX-5, and Tiguan coming in as slightly larger alternatives if required. Alright, so let me give you a sense of the size and space in here. You may not have seen inside of one of these before. Nothing too cramped or crowded. I think headroom is kind of the most generous dimension here around you. Controls fairly logically clustered. We've got this generously sized central touchscreen here. Some slightly dated looking controls down there on the bottom. Volume knob over on this side, where it really belongs sort of up here or over there. Engine start down here. Otherwise, fully digital instrument cluster, head-up display, and not too hard to find your way around here in terms of the control layout, USB charging, and some storage. Now let's see how someone of my size would fit directly in the back seat behind myself. So not much need for a duck here on your way in. A lot of crossovers, you've got to really watch your head around this point. Very decent amount of knee room here. I've got at least the width of my hand. Here it comes all the way over the top of my head in the back seat. Really like that. All right, so rear seating, we do not have a flat rear floor. In this case, there is that hump in the middle worth drawing your attention to. This back seat bench is a 60-40 deal, so we can slide forward and back this way depending on our need for cargo versus legroom. Little lever underneath there, not too heavy of an action. Fairly easy to do that with just 2 hands. Again, we've got this lever to recline the seat or actually fold it down if we need to. If we take a look down here, this is not fully flat folding, fairly close but not completely flat. Keep that in mind if you're loading in larger items. Flip this back up. We'll just come around to the back for a look at the cargo space. Power tailgate, of course. It's our standard equipment. This is relatively wide, relatively tall. 12-volt power outlet right here for your camping accessories if you need them. Under the cargo floor, we have, well, an extra floor mat and a temporary spare tire. When it comes to its onboard tech, the 2023 Ford Escape has some serious swagger. Not only is its optional 13.2-inch display more than twice the size of many competitors, but it's also about the largest I could find in the segment by some 3 inches. In fact, adding up its 13.2-inch display and 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, the 2023 Escape shows its driver more than 2 feet of horizontal screen. Even the Kia Seltos with the dual 10.5-inch displays falls short here. On my watch, I especially appreciated the sharp touchscreen graphics and virtually flawless wireless Android Auto experience, though I won't call it a perfect experience due to a laggy voice command button that can require a 2 or 3 second press to activate at times. Where is the 2023 Ford Escape built? Final assembly takes place at the Louisville assembly plant in Kentucky. The 1.5-liter engine is built in Mexico, and the 2-liter engine is built in Spain. How much can the Ford Escape tow? Towing capacity is rated at up to 3,500 pounds. Which 2023 Ford Escape comes with a moonroof? According to Ford Canada, all series of the 2023 Ford Escape, including ST line, have an optional panoramic Vista roof. My tester is the 2023 Ford Escape ST-Line Elite all-wheel drive, clocking in at the better part of 50,000 Canadian dollars. Its key pros are its smooth and quiet engine, its handling and overall highway feel, and most of its interior. I found its key weaknesses to be its ride on very rough roads, and a few too many dated or awkwardly recycled elements throughout certain parts of the cabin. The 2-liter EcoBoost engine in my tester is a well-sorted and composed performer. Thrust builds quickly off the line at full throttle, there are deep reserves of pulling power for passing and merging, and performance is consistent and reliable from just off idle. The particularly accessible low-rev torque helps make for smoother and more responsive driving in around-town settings too. Even worked hard, this engine is refined and relatively quiet, though perhaps most impressive at very low revs, where the highly responsive turbocharger minimizes lag and improves throttle response significantly. There's plenty of torque but minimal noise, with the engine remaining calm and composed when pushed and noise levels rising only moderately. At full throttle, you'll likely find the Ford Escape much quieter than a comparable Toyota RAV4 or Kia Sportage, and there are ample turbocharger sound effects if you're listening for them. The Escape's handling feel was another pleasant surprise. Highway on- and off-ramps, winding back roads, and around-town roundabouts are handled with pleasingly low amounts of steering input and body roll, creating a drive that's a little more responsive and livelier than the norm in this segment. After extensive testing on the winding highways of Northern Ontario, I'd happily recommend this amongst other favorites like the Mazda CX-5, Honda CR-V, Volkswagen Tiguan, and Nissan Rogue. These are all machines that I've favorited because of a carefully tuned drive that makes it easier for the driver to be smooth and relaxed and consistent and confident at the controls. In turn, this makes it easier to navigate winding roadways more precisely, with little need to readjust your position since the vehicle is easier to place confidently in corners, even at speed. Rounding out the pros, most of the interior is lovely, quilted leather, quiet but effective use of red stitching, a modern and sporty steering wheel rim, and a reduced color palette with pumped-up textures give it an organized and formal look with loads of high-tech on display and that giant center screen. Hopefully it distracts you from the first of the Escape's cons, the awkward recycling of some dated components elsewhere in the cabin. Specifically, the steering wheel mounted controls are looking a little bit more dated and low budget compared to what you'll see in most competitors. We've got this modern D-shaped steering wheel, we've got the perforation, we've got the little thumb grips, we've got that flat bottom, but you'll see these controls on it here are just looking a little bit plain next to what you'll find in some competitors. There is the center stack console here too. Am I the only one that thinks this looks like an old CD player that's modified to contain some new buttons and switches? And so to reach for that volume knob, I'm all the way over here on the passenger side, and that is a little awkward. Another con is the ride on very rough roads. This is a major part of the driving I do, and if it's a major part of yours, choose your wheel and tire sizes carefully, and be sure to test drive on the roughest route possible to confirm adequate ride comfort. On my rough road testing route, I found performance to be about average for this segment, typical elevation of harshness and noise levels, steering that stays fairly nicely isolated, and cabin noise levels punching up moderately. Still, you do have above average options for the dollar here where ride comfort is concerned, and I'd point you towards Mazda CX-50, Honda CR-V, Nissan Rogue, or especially Buick Envision Avenir as my top picks for ride comfort on very rough surfaces. The backup camera system makes great use of the large screen, complete with an around-view monitor and multiple parking camera angles. The big screen and clear graphics take the stress right out of maneuvering in tight quarters, ditto an appreciably compact turning circle and low-effort steering at low speed. There's a good sense of easy, confident maneuvering in tight quarters. If you buy a Ford Escape ST line, you'll wonder how you ever did without a big screen backup camera. Actually, one of the best things about this machine, I think. Out on the road, I noted good control over body motions and harshness on uneven roads, and a smooth and relaxed highway glide. The ride is comfortable with a helping of sporty feedback dialed in from the suspension when encountering undulations in the road. So if you're after something that's, say, relaxing but also responsive, this should do the trick. But again, just watch the ride on the roughest roads you'll visit. On smooth highways, drivers can expect noticeable but not intrusive levels of wind noise to arrive by about 95 kilometers an hour, with wind noise nicely managed until a little beyond 110. In most driving, there's no difficulty relaxing in a quiet cabin, or talking with nearby passengers without raising your voice. Radar Cruise proved smooth and predictable before long, with little separating its performance from what I expect in far pricier luxury crossovers. When cruising the highway, steering, braking, and throttle adjustments made by the vehicle are consistently smooth, and I didn't get a single false alarm or abrupt input in over 2,600 kilometers of driving. You might also appreciate the system's ability to run in either conventional or radar-assisted cruise control modes. While the brakes are powerful, there is potential for improvement in terms of pedal feel. At times, I found the brakes to engage abruptly when attempting to slow smoothly, or to exhibit a slight delay in the buildup of stopping power as the pedal is applied. Panic stops are quick and effective when necessary, but some drivers may desire greater precision and responsiveness from the brake pedal during moderate driving. To put that another way, the slightly vague and inconsistent pedal feel can make it a little challenging to brake smoothly in some situations. Which 2023 Ford Escape engine is best? There are two engine choices and one very obvious one if you follow along with a little math lesson I've prepared. The 1.5-liter 3-cylinder turbo does 180 horsepower and up to 199 pounds of torque. The 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo makes 250 horsepower and up to 280 pounds of torque. Now that's if you're running premium fuel, which is not required. Both engines can run on regular grade just fine, with horsepower output unaffected but torque reduced slightly. Natural Resources Canada fuel economy data says an Escape with the 1.5-liter engine and all-wheel drive will need 8.4 liters of gas to do 100 kilometers of combined city and highway driving, and that a model with all-wheel drive and the 2-liter engine will require 9.1 liters of gas to do the same thing. So a difference of 0.7 liters of gas for every 100 kilometers you drive between these two engines. If you drive 25,000 kilometers per year and pay $1.50 for a liter of gas, then an Escape with the 2-liter engine will use $3,412 worth of fuel every year, while an Escape with the 1.5-liter engine will use $3,150 worth of gas per year. So that's an annual difference of $262 between these engine choices, or about $22 per month. So that's 40% more horsepower and torque, using about 8% more of your fuel dollars, making the 2-liter turbo engine a virtual non-brainer if you're considering it. After about 600 kilometers driving in the dark, I found mostly good news with my tester's lighting system. On the plus side, the auto high beams are on the ball, beaming down quickly in response to oncoming traffic, and quickly re-engaging the brights after it's passed. With no driver bandwidth required, after dark illumination is maximized at all times, and that's a more comfortable, focused, and alert nighttime drive once the sun goes down. Actual lighting system performance was about average for the segment, with good reach, saturation, and peripheral illumination into tree lines and culverts, though I have noted some competitors offer a touch more overall lighting output, especially the Honda CR-V.